Welcome back to the Corhazi Outlook, a Grand Archive TCG podcast centered around tournament results and competitive metagame analysis.
We are here to give you a glimpse into what's being played at major tournaments and help you prepare for your next big event.
This is episode 17. I am Ken, also known as Chromatic, and with me as always is Aubrey, also known as Jim the Eternal.
What's up?
And today, we have data.
Yeah.
We have data that we are excited to share with you.
Mm-hmm. So we've gotten a couple of events into the DTR season.
We have, finally.
Yeah, so happy to look at some of these hopefully bigger events and hopefully give us a picture of what's to come for Boston at the very least.
Yeah, we are still waiting for Boston, the big real major tournament, the first one of the DTR season. But we had a couple events which were big enough that we thought, hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So before we jump too far into it, Jim, DTR, it's fresh, it's here. What have you been up to?
So I was able to build the deck.
Yeah.
I played it. It turns out that Advent is a thing you can put into a Umbra deck.
It is, in fact.
And it works.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I played a version of the deck that was not very tuned. Babby's first foray into playing big spells.
Yeah.
And unfortunately got heavily punished by Incapacitate.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. And then, so I did well against everything that wasn't running Incapacitate, so that was great. But I played Incap in the finals and got incapped, and then I had the fear, so I just didn't play anything, and it turns out that doesn't work either.
Oh, yeah, I know. At some point, you have to move and just respect that.
So it was a learning experience for sure.
Yeah, I understand.
But I'm definitely happy to see that other people are finding some success with the deck.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a pet project for me. I want to keep working on it.
Sounds like you have a fellow fan of the deck, because I believe Limelight, as part of Creative Shock, posted his own take on the deck.
Yeah, and I'm going to be borrowing some inspiration from him for sure.
Yeah. I realized through and through, I am still an Arcane player at heart, so I might have to pick it up and try it at some point. It seems like a lot of fun. I myself have been tinkering around with Water Astra Diana, because I pulled the CSR. I feel like I have some obligation to try to make it work.
That's fair.
And a lot of folks are kind of on CL as the new hotness, which means my inner hipster can fully embrace being what I feel like is kind of the underdog at the moment.
I love that for you.
With all the fire running around, it's an interesting case of a lot of the things that people are using to combat the fire decks also incidentally work on me.
Bummer.
But sometimes I can go under the fire decks, and that's very satisfying.
Yeah, it is always a bummer to find a deck that you like, and then it's like, oh, nobody's expecting this thing, and then it gets hit by the splash damage from the thing that everybody was expecting.
When the tech that everyone is packing just incidentally happens to also work on you, and you weren't even the primary target, it's just like, man, why?
Yeah.
So that there's been some interesting learning with that. There's been a lot of interesting ratios to be tweaking because I'm running the full Astra package.
Sure.
There's been a lot of questions as to whether or not the full Astra package is even needed. Maybe you do a half Astra package or no Astra package. I can certainly tell you that sometimes I've just drawn a hand of Frostborn Paladins and Crystalline Archers and gone straight under my opponent, and it felt great. And other times I say, all right, I'm going to go to level 3 and finish the job, and then I just sort of come at them with the force of a 18-wheel semi that is stalled on the middle of the highway and desperately needs to fit through a tunnel.
So not very.
Very, very polarizing experiences. So
yeah, it turns out if you just draw 3 Crystalline Archers, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
It's true. Sometimes you just blitz them for 12 damage and you just have a great time. So we're gonna tweak that. We'll see if Astra still has any merit, if I should just go full water and embrace the Unga Bunga Archer spam.
You may want to look into a little thing I like to call consistency.
That is true, but why consistency when big boom?
Oh, man. No, trust me, I understand. I've been playing around with a Fire Diana list.
Oh,
and it goldfishes like a dream.
Oh, yes.
It kills on turn 2 a surprising amount of the time. And then I try to play it against any real opponent, and I'm just floundering.
It's unfortunate that the deck that I currently like to play also runs so much interaction that is very bad for that deck, because the damage is certainly something.
Yeah, it really is.
Just,
but it folds to an opponent even looking at me the wrong way. So.
Fracturize is still one hell of a card.
Hell of a
very,
card.
Very good. So
back to the drawing board, I think.
Indeed. We're going to keep cooking, but in the meantime, we have a few recipes that we can take inspiration with. So we're going to go through 2 main events here. The first one that we're going to talk about is the Win-A-Case tournament coming out of the Yeti group. So their Win-A-Case tournament garnered a total showing of 45 people.
Yeah, all right. Decent-sized event.
Yeah, a 6-round event, which I think is big enough to where I think we can talk about it with some fair merit.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, it is a smaller event, so it's
Yeah.
not something that we'd usually spend a lot of airtime on. But at this point, there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good place to kind of start the season, and we can see where things go from here.
Yeah, this is kind of what I would equate to being like sort of like a mid-level regionals, honestly. So seeing sort of a picture into what people are cooking right now, I think is pretty useful for you, all of you at home, who might be wondering just where to get started if you haven't already. So we'll go through it pretty quickly. In terms of the meta breakdown, we had a meager 15% of folks on water. We had 20% of the folks on wind, and we had 64% on fire.
This is the world we live in now.
Which is a vastly different experience than what we've been used to for probably the past 2 seasons, if not more. The top 3 archetypes in this whole mess, at around 22%, 10 different decks are on fire aggro. Fire aggro, quite good.
A usual caveat for fire aggro, this includes a variety of different flavors of fire aggro. So there is warrior aggro, the Lorraine special that people are used to seeing. There were some Xander aggro in here. There was some Diao-Chan aggro in here. And we're also seeing the comeback of Guoja, Suzaku aggro. So there's a bunch of different flavors of fire aggro here. All have like slightly different approaches, but overall have the overall same kind of general strategy of getting their opponent dead on turn 3 or earlier if possible.
Yes. Coming in at second place is Crux.
Merlin's back!
Oh, she's back.
Sometimes.
She's back and she's kind of pissed.
Mostly it's Lorraine, actually.
It's actually a surprising amount of Lorraine. Merlin's there too, but Lorraine is really, really kicking around, doing some damage. And in third place, popularity, we have Shadow Strike.
Shadow Strike always seems to have that core of people who want to play Shadow Strike and nothing else.
It's just, it is a deck that is very popular for, certain reasons. But it also happens to be very well positioned.
Yeah, it's still doing okay.
It's still good. Like, it has the tools, which is great. We have a bunch of other things that made into this tournament, but we're not going to go into too much detail, just because if we did, we'd be here for quite a long time.
Yeah, there's a long tail of kind of outlier decks, but all of these have less than 5 entries into the event. So we're seeing some Umbra, we're seeing some Suited, we're seeing some Diana, we're seeing Water Allies, a little bit of other stuff here and there.
Yeah. So, there's a lot out there, for sure. But Fire is really stealing the show right now.
Absolutely.
So the way this tournament laid out was anyone who went 4 wins or higher was guaranteed some amount of prizing. So I think what we will do is we will go through that group of people, which consists of the top 12 in this archetype. And we're just going to sort of spitball, rapid fire, sort of give you an idea of what's being played. So in 12th place, we have Verdict running his Water Allies Diana. This is a level 1 Diana, focusing on Dahlia. Good old Dahlia, who hasn't seen a lot of play up until now, to do really big damage.
She's mostly been pretty niche, showing up in the occasional deck here and there, but not seeing a lot of widespread success.
Yeah. So, this is sort of a core deck running a lot of the Frostborn Paladins, the Crystalline Archers, and just really also relying on Dahlia for like big bursts of damage, which is kind of useful because Lantern, as it turns out, is not as popular as it used to be, at least at this current moment, just because the tools that you need to fight the big bad wolf in the room is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. In 11th place, we have Rhea on a Umbra CL, the grindiest Umbra CL that you may see. If any of you have played with a starter deck, you might know that Umbra CL is all about hitting with heavy swings and Lamentation's Toll, which is just another heavy swing, or using Maximum Noir to get something back, like, say, a heavy swing. This is kind of going in a different direction. It's running Siphoning Fractal, a card that we have never seen much play out of, if at all, along with the new Ultra Rare Fantasia Sotir Vortex to sort of play a more life gain, life drain play style, just to sort of grind you out.
That sounds so cool.
It's really, really cool. I honestly really want to give it a try. I know I'm going to regret it because I do really bad with long game decks sometimes, but it's so unique that I feel like I need to give it a try.
Does sound like my style.
Yeah.
After a couple of reps of Razor Gale, I'm very happy with the decks that sort of sit back and throw incidental damage.
A little Fractal, a little Drain Power. Yeah, you might want to give it a try. Could be good. In 10th place, we have Jimmy Lee.
The guy.
He's him.
That's what I hear.
Fire on Soul. With Spectres. 13 Spectres.
Weird numbers.
Weird numbers. But we'll get back to that. In 9th place, Bonnie Rien on Water Unique Allies Lorraine. I really want to emphasize the unique here, because if you look in here, there's like pretty much every unique ally you can see. You got your Lunettes, you got your Nias, you got your Shahoduns, you've got Shang Zhang, and
Even
Sun Tzu.
enough stuff to power Zhui Ying, which you don't usually see in this kind of deck.
You never see Zhui Ying. It's even running Rescue the Air, which is really keying into those unique allies, and that's really cool. That's cool that someone came up with that. I love it. I love it so much. In 8th place, we have Joel running Tristan. Classic Tristan. Got some cleansing reunions.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty relevant considering all the stuff that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. In 7th place, Neoniclax on Looking Glass Philo with Spectres, 16 Spectres, and Cheshire Cat.
Yep.
Nice pick there. Cheshire Cat, notably very aggressive in combination with those Distortion allies.
Yeah, seems like a card that can pull off quite a lot if you really want to.
Yeah, quite nice. 6th place, Suited Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
Suited is a pretty surprisingly good archetype, turns out.
Yeah, this is one of those really, really linear archetypes that they've put out, right? Something that I think the term that other people use is parasitic.
Parasitic, definitely, because you sort of need a lot of the same cards.
Right. It's the kind of archetype that really builds off itself, and you have to have basically a bunch of different cards that have the same kind of ability in order for it to build up into a critical mass to do the thing that it's trying to do.
It was one of those lists which I think a lot of people looked at and just on paper it didn't seem very exciting, but I think now that it's been sort of out in the wild and people are sort of cooking it, it's been doing a lot better.
I think it looks a lot it looks a lot worse than it is because of the cardistry abilities.
Yeah.
And once you actually get allies on the field, the cardistry abilities happen a lot more frequently than they look like they should.
It's true. It also has some great payoffs and comeback mechanics in case your board dies. It has a lot of way to make use of that extra graveyard fodder, which is pretty nice. We'll talk about that in more detail once we get to the big tournament. But in 5th place, it's Noel with good old Luxem Xander, Serene Fire, and 12 Spectres.
Yeah. Pretty good. So this is the only Luxem Xander in this tournament.
Yes.
Which is not at all true of the next tournament.
Yes.
But it does show off the power of not only Luxem Xander, but the power of the Spectre engine.
Yes.
And this is going to be a recurring point for this podcast.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a bit too.
Before that, though, 4th place, we have another suited deck, a suited Xander deck, piloted by Superior. Notably, running a few cool things. March Hare, good reusable ally if you need to kindle things. Tea Party, Mad Tea Party, which gives you a little bit of life buffer, interestingly enough, which I find really fascinating. And Mortal Ambition, because you better believe that Tea Party's going to jump you.
Yeah, the Tea Party seems to be a bit of a controversial pick here, right? People are sort of talking about it, and I'm still on the fence. I don't know whether or not I think it's a good card, but people are. It's definitely been the subject of discussion lately.
So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Yeti tournaments, but the last week's Yeti tournament at the time of this recording was featured a Windseal piloted by Edward III. One of his sideboard cards in response to the aggro matchup was Mad Tea Party, and it healed him a grand total of I think 17 health over the course of one game.
That's a lot.
So it's not insignificant as it turns out.
Okay.
So there might be something to it.
Maybe.
That game also went to a draw, so
yeah, all right.
There might not be just enough to it.
Certainly lessons to be learned here.
So there might be some tweaking there, but still, we can't deny that 17 is a huge number.
Yeah.
So in 3rd place, we have Zeus on Fire Aggro Diao-Chan, Ignis Deus Fire Aggro Diao-Chan, running 3 copies. Which is great because if you can Ignis Deus turn 1, you can get your Firebloom Flourish online and start drawing cards immediately. And that also gives you a little room to, bring out a hate piece on your next turn, maybe like a Censor, maybe a Lantern, something like that. Pretty cool. 2nd place, we have Spectre Onsole. Never thought we'd be talking about Onsole again, really.
This is the boogeyman of the format right now.
Yep, this is crazy. 16 Spectres and a whole lot of swords. And just not a lot of time to deal with them. It's just very, very powerful. And in 1st place, the classic, Merlin. Spectre Merlin.
Sure, why not?
16 Spectres. Powered by ghosts.
Yeah, if you're gonna, you might as well.
You might as well. She's back.
That's great. Sure.
Yeah, so you might notice we've been talking about a lot of fire decks.
So the overall picture here is we are seeing a decent amount of aggro, which you kind of expect.
Yeah.
We're seeing a couple of water ally decks and not a lot of other water.
Yep.
We're seeing a Shadow Strike here and there, not a lot of other wind, and we're seeing a lot of variety in fire.
Yes.
And that is primarily on the back of 2 things. One is aggro is good early on, and it's a lot easier to build an aggro deck than to build a more mid-rangey deck or more control deck.
Yep.
And the other is the power of the Spectre package.
Yes.
And this is important enough that I wanted to call this out as a separate bit. So let's do it.
Yes.
Let's go into deck tech with Dr. Eternal.
Dr. Eternal.
Hello.
I've gone to my locals, but I keep getting stomped by Ryle decks. How do they work? And what can I do?
So the important part about this is Spectres is not a deck, although there might be a Spectre deck.
Perhaps.
The Spectre engine is something that slots into another deck in order to provide it some extra power.
Yeah, this engine is quite potent.
Yeah. So the centerpiece, obviously, Ryle the Abyss, right? This is a 3 reserve card that allows you to draw a card, and then, after you have already drawn your card, choose up to 2 Spectres from your hand to discard, and then draw to replace. So the average case for this is Creative Shock. At worst, you are card neutral. You are dropping a card to pick up a card. At best, it is a souped-up Creative Shock, drawing 3, discarding 2.
3 cards. Crazy.
And this plays well with a couple of other pieces that form a sort of Spectre engine, especially for decks that want to go to level 3.
Yep.
So there are typically 16 cards in the Spectre package for these level 3 decks. 4 of them are Ryle the Abyss. The next 4, the next 8, maybe 12, are floating memory or floating memory adjacent. So these are cards that you want to get into your yard for value, and once they are in your graveyard, you can do things in order to take advantage of them to basically let you go up on cards, right? So this is the way that floating memory always works. So traditionally, floating memory, you use Creative Shock, you'll discard like a Tempered Steel, and then you can use that to go to level 1, and you are effectively up a card, right? Because you drew a card to replace it, and you also burned a card out of your graveyard instead of out of your memory in order to level up.
Yep.
So this works in kind of the same way, a little souped up because you are moving through more cards at a time, and it also includes Liminal Guide. So we'll start with the actual floating memory.
Yep.
Evercurrent Raider and Undying Dreams are both Spectre cards with floating memory on them. Evercurrent Raider is a water card, but that doesn't matter. You can still burn it for float, even if you're fire.
Yep.
And Undying Dreams is a norm card with a effect that you're probably not going to use on the whole.
But you might.
You might. It is, you can pay, it is a 2 reserve card that will add +1/+1 to a unit, or to an ally. And if that ally is a Spectre, is ephemeral rather, it'll also give it a buff counter.
What I didn't realize is that in the framework of an aggro package, Undying Dreams is actually quite powerful with Liminal Guide.
Yeah, so this is closer to a Spectre deck as opposed to just a Spectre engine, because Fire also has some really powerful Spectres that will come back from the graveyard on their own.
It's true.
But that is kind of a separate thing.
Yeah, a separate tangent. Another idea for later.
So the important part here is you're getting floating memory out of Evercurrent Raider. You're getting floating memory out of Undying Dreams. And you're also getting Liminal Guide, which acts as a kind of overfloat. You can use floating memory to go up a level, and then Liminal Guide will also draw you a card. So you can actually go plus on leveling if you have enough floating memory, along with Liminal Guides in your graveyard. So what you end up with is a card that is very good at getting floating memory into your yard, keeping you neutral on influence while you do it, and once you take advantage of that floating, potentially plussing you even further past that, while giving you, a throwaway 1/3 on the board.
The amount of value and agility packed in this engine is just so insane.
Right. So the leveling tools that you previously had in Fire are not only improved, but greatly improved because of this Spectre package.
Yeah. Because you can still use the good old engine pieces like Creative Shock.
Yeah, and this works perfectly alongside stuff like Creative Shock or like a Hasty Messenger.
Yeah.
This is definitely stuff that you're going to want to put in to complement the stuff that is already there, making Fire really, really good at turboing up to 3.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have caught on to this idea, and a lot of people are trying it, and they are doing very, very well with it.
Yeah, so this overall is kind of the initial impressions of the meta. You have people trying to take advantage of the Spectre engine to turbo to 3 in order to do really, really broken stuff at level 3. So we have the Ensoul decks, we have Luxem decks, we have Merlin doing this kind of stuff. And then you have the sort of other half of the meta is the people who are trying to go under that, the fire aggro decks who are trying to beat up on the Ryle decks before they make it all the way up. And this is, I think, the mentality coming into this event, right? So sight unseen, no real picture of the meta, no real understanding of exactly what decks are going to do, but there is this sense of like, okay, people are going to be turboing to 3, so either I am turboing to 3 harder, or I am coming in underneath that and just killing them before they can turn their game plan on.
You're going big or you're going fast. Sometimes both, honestly.
Yeah. So I think that's where people are in sort of in this stage of the meta, kind of looking at it from the outside without having experienced it yet, and bringing these decks in and hoping they kind of slot in.
Yeah, I will say, even though it does seem overwhelming seeing the amount of fire that's suddenly now present here, I have to definitely say, like, the number of decks and the variety of decks in fire is quite high, honestly.
Yeah.
So
it's not just one fire deck like it was one Genbu deck, you know. We saw like 45% of the field was water and like 80% of that was Genbu or Fractals.
Yeah.
And it's not like that at all.
Not at all. All right.
So I guess from that, let's move on to the Quicksilver Cup.
Yes, this is the first big tournament of the season. It's kind of been advertised as like one level below an Ascent. And we got a pretty good turnout for it.
Yeah.
And we got some very, very nice, very powerful decks coming out of it.
Yeah. So this was contemporary with the DTR Winnicase.
Yeah. In fact, the first day of the Quicksilver Cup happened, followed by the Winnicase, followed by the second day of the Quicksilver Cup. So it was a nice little sandwich in there.
So we had a lot of the same impressions from people going into this event. I think people going into the Winnicase maybe got the chance to see a little bit out of the Quicksilver Cup.
Yeah.
So maybe had some sense of like, oh, this is what people are playing, so I need to adjust accordingly. But for the most part, both of these events are people going into this meta blind.
Yes, absolutely.
And the numbers are fairly similar. If we look at sort of the overall here, we actually have a lot more variety in the Quicksilver Cup than we do in the Winnicase.
Yeah. Give the overall breakdown.
Yeah.
Sick.
So the elements were still kind of fire focused, but there was also a lot of wind. There was a lot of people playing stuff like Shadow Strike out there.
Oh yeah, true.
We had 34 wind decks in the event, which is 43% of the field.
That's quite a lot.
We had 33 fire decks, which is 41% of the field. We had not a lot of water, 11 water decks, and we had 2 Slimes players.
Oh, the slimes.
Yep.
They've miraculously repopulated. That's not true.
I think this is just another example. Yeah, I think this is just another example of the meta being completely wide open, right?
Yeah.
People don't know what they're doing going into it.
Yeah.
People can see some of what people are working on, but otherwise it's like wide open enough that everybody's like, okay, well, I'll just bring the deck that I'm comfortable with, and we'll see if it does anything.
I think people are just trying their hardest here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And seeing what sticks.
So we did see quite a lot of, I think the most popular deck actually was Wind Allies.
Wind Allies, eh?
It didn't do well.
Yes.
But there were a lot of people bringing Wind Allies to this event, which makes a lot of sense, right? This took place in Auckland?
Auckland.
Yeah. So we saw a lot of Wind Allies and Water Allies out of the New Zealand meta in the past.
Yeah, we had.
These are definitely some Allies aficionados.
I do also think we had quite a few Arasanas who did not make it into the top, but I think we're hoping that they could sort of make a dent in this.
There were a couple of Astra decks. I don't know how well the hell.
Not great.
Not that great.
Not great.
But yeah, the most popular deck was Wind Allies.
Yes.
Followed closely by Crux and by Shadow Strike. So this kind of is a lot of that wind focus, right?
Yeah.
We saw a lot of Wind Shadow Strike. We saw a lot of Wind Allies. They did not so well.
Unfortunate.
But they were there for the event, right?
Yeah.
You needed to be able to beat these decks in order to make it to the top.
Yeah. That's at least the baseline you had to get past.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks like some of them did.
Yeah. Behind that, we started seeing a bunch of fire aggro. There was some Guoja Suzaku aggro. There was some warrior aggro decks. There were some assassin aggro decks. We also saw a bunch of Ensoul decks, so kind of the same kind of things that we were seeing before. And quite a few people trying out Diana. So there was, I think, 6 decks on the Diana Astro Ranger, which is about 8% of the field.
Yep.
Also didn't convert.
That is a difficult deck to not only pilot, but also just to build correctly. So I think so. I think everything kind of working against those players. I feel.
Yeah. That's the kind of deck that needs to cook a bit before it'll be ready for the meta.
Yeah.
Right?
That's definitely
you need to know. The problem with Diana has always been that her threats are so specific, right?
Yeah.
That you kind of loading everything into one thing and hoping it works.
Yeah.
and you need to know what the meta looks like before you can bring a gun to a knife fight.
Yeah, you surprisingly. I mean, she bulletproofed her guns, you know, but there's a lot to deal with still. Also, there's a lot of taunting and intercepting happening as well. There's a number of things.
There's a lot of things going wrong for Diana decks to do well, and they'll have to be able to account for that. And so they have to know what they're facing.
Listen, as a sworn member of the Corhazi Outlook, I promise you that one day I will crack this mystery and I'll get back to you.
I believe.
It might not be until next set.
I believe.
But I believe that one day I will crack this.
We also saw a decent chunk of Seiryu players. We saw a decent chunk of Luxem Assassin here. Decent chunk of Astra Cleric, although also not converting very well.
Not the best result, but they did their best.
And then past that, this is at this point like the 5% ratio. So below that, the numbers aren't very high. It's almost sampling bias. Like one person played this deck. What are we going to do for the numbers? But
we can definitely say that the overall field was actually very diverse.
Yeah, very diverse. Again, with that same long tail of like 1-ofs and 2-ofs. That don't have a lot of representation anywhere else.
It's always cool to see that just the variety of decks that's out there. In terms of what the most viable decks are at this point, I think that's a little bit different. But at the very least, it's nice to see that everyone can kind of come in here with a lot of different ideas and sort of see what sticks.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 Slimes decks, right?
There were
2 Slimes decks. Somebody brought Razor Gale, somebody brought Fractals.
That's crazy.
Like, everything showed up to this event.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the top cut is
little different.
It's a little more focused, a little more streamlined, shall we say?
So
a little hotter.
Yeah, a little bit hotter. I will need final confirmation from folks, but I believe the threshold for day 2 was 14 points.
It sounds about right to me.
Yeah. So looking at the records here, which meant that we had 19 people make it into day 2.
Yep. And the day 2 numbers are wildly different from the day 1 numbers.
They're a little bit hotter.
There were 0 water decks.
No water?
No water decks. There was... It wasn't entirely fire. There was 1 Shadow Striker.
Oh, hey.
And one of the Slimes decks actually made it into the top cut.
Oh, that's heartwarming.
So that's an outlier.
You wouldn't have expected it.
You definitely... I still don't expect it.
I still don't expect it.
But 17 of the 19 were fire. 89% of day 2 was fire.
Yeah.
And that's still a lot of different kinds of decks.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at the archetype breakdown,
yes.
About half of it, a little under half was aggro. We had a Xander, we had 2 Lorraines, and we had 4 Guojian Suzaku.
Oh, yeah.
Rounding out kind of the aggro field.
Yes.
There was a just solid allies deck. I think the suited is sort of kind of in that same vein.
It kind of is decks. Right now, yeah. I think that's how we're
a little tempo-y kind of playing to the field, but definitely on the aggressive side.
Yeah, it's interesting in that even if you do clear its board, it does have ways to sort of like come back. So it may not be strictly tempo, but it definitely is tempo adjacent at the very least.
Yep. So 1 suited deck in the top cut. A bunch of mid-range. And I am treating a lot of these sort of turbo to 3 decks as mid-range. I'm thinking of Onsol as kind of a mid-rangey deck.
I think it is. It's just aggro that starts a little later.
Right, yeah. Slime's definitely a mid-rangey deck. Shadow Strike kind of in that same sort of mid-range, a little bit more controlling, but still kind of mid-rangey.
Still can kind of go early or go late. It kind of balances out to the middle of the pack.
So 8 decks as mid-range.
Yep.
So pretty close to an even split between sort of the mid-range and the aggro.
Yeah.
And then 3 Luxem decks as our control, as our top end, sort of the slowest you could possibly get in this format right now.
Yeah. I mean, they can stabilize faster, but they still want to let the game go long and get that big value.
And keep in mind, this is 17 fire decks, right? With this kind of split.
Yeah.
So it is definitely not dominated by a single archetype.
It's nice because it's not, just all aggro or all mid-range or something like that. Right?
Now, the majority of these decks did run the Spectre package.
Yes.
So I think this is why we're seeing so much fire, is not only is aggro kind of people's go-to, but the Spectre package is real strong.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a good reason to not be fire right now, and taking advantage of the Spectre package to fuel your level up.
It's true. It's very, very powerful.
It's really, and it fits in everything. This is kind of the point I wanted to make, is it is not an archetype on its own, it is an engine. Yeah. And you can slot that engine into a bunch of different archetypes, and all of them will take advantage of it well.
Now, it is not immune to disruption, mind you. I know a lot of people are placing more value in Sensor Restful Piece as a way to sort of shut off all the floating memory value that we are seeing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, which means, I think a lot of decks need to be prepared for that. But still, some of these decks just go very very quickly, and even with the disruption, they can somehow still do it sometimes.
So to talk a little bit about, in more specifics, rather than just sort of archetype labels, we ended up with 4 of the 19 on Suzaku, on Goja. And Goja actually ran a 61% win rate over the event as a whole.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it did really well. So actually, nice. I want to run these numbers past you really quick. Okay. The top 4 performing decks. By the numbers.
Yes.
With some outliers here, just because there weren't that many people playing them. Mm-hmm. There was one suited player in the entire event. Made it to day 2. So he has like a 67% win rate.
Just below the top cut, mind you. He was in 9th place.
Right? So good job on that guy. Yeah. This is like an outlier.
Yeah.
But 7 Suzaku decks over the course of the field, over the course of the day 1, and overall 61% win rate.
Yep.
Only 2 Fire Lorraine aggro players, but they both did well, also with that 66% win rate.
Yep.
And 4 Luxem players on day 1.
Yeah, okay.
And they had a 64% win rate.
Okay.
So these are the decks that I'm personally keeping an eye on as decks that overall did well.
Yeah, I mean, these are definitely decks that got the biggest boost from Ryle and the Spectre engine, or they are just very consistently good at going under the Ryle and Spectre engines.
So 4 Suzaku techs in the top tier, in the day 2 top cut. 3 Serene Fire Luxem decks.
Yep.
3 Onsol decks.
Yep.
2 Lorraine aggro decks. In fact, both of the Lorraine aggro decks that were in the field made it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, good job, those people.
Excellent.
2 non-Ensol Crux decks. So this is primarily Merlin. Yeah, this is entirely Merlin. But they're here also.
Yes.
We did get 1 Shadow Striker into the top 8, or into the day 2.
Yep.
We have 1 Umbra Guardian deck. Yeah. So I was actually expecting to see a lot more CL here, because I think CL also feeds really well with this Spectre engine. But I think it's also a matter of CL just not seeing that much representation. There were 4 Umbra Guardian decks in the field total.
Yeah, CL is still relatively new.
Yeah. People are still trying to put it together and figuring it out, as opposed to something like Luxem Assassin, where everybody knows what that top end looks like, and just swapping out some engine pieces is really easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, as we're going to see, the Umbra Guardian deck that we talked about briefly in the Win-A-Case tournament is very different from the one that we saw top here.
So after that, we have 1 Xander aggro.
Yep.
So Assassin aggro also made it. We have the 1 suited deck that I mentioned earlier, and 1 of the Slimes decks made it to the to day 2.
Hey, how good!
So that's our 19.
Yeah. I mean, with so many new decks, I do have to just call out a few which I think are quite neat. We're going to start with the Slimes deck, of course, piloted by Ava Kyo. Classic Slime stuff. Has to rely on Baby Silver over Baby Gray, which is a bit of a drawback, but you also have it running 3 Resolute Stands, which really, I think, benefited well in the crazy aggro that's going on right now, and also 3 Scavenging Raccoons, because there are so many floating memory payouts going on with Ryle running around that you need something to deal with it.
So other than the gray for silver swap, this is a pretty traditional Slimes package.
Extremely
traditional. I think the first kind of builds of Slimes, before people kind of iterated over it, included the same sort of mix of Scavenging Raccoon and Resolute Stand on top of everything else that made it into the deck. Yeah. So pretty good.
It's just a solid core that works, I think. And the side is definitely geared towards dealing with both the Ryle decks with Sensor Wrestle Piece, and also maybe any Fringe Wind decks that come up with Nullifying Mirror, and also Staggering Strike, which is relevant. Very, very relevant.
Not that many assassins around these days.
No, but when they show up, they're going to be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's true.
15th place, we have Umbra CL, but not just any Umbra CL, it's Oblation CL.
Hey, my boy.
Yeah, this CL running the good old Baleful Oblation, Advent of the Stormcaller special, along with some other nice little payoffs should that not take out their opponents.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see this doing well.
Yeah.
This is my pet deck, so I definitely want people to do well with it, so that I can crib notes from them and do well with it myself.
He's running the Blackjack too.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
That's what I expected.
Yep, it's wonderful.
Turns out 15 plus 6.
Yeah. It's got one Varuk and Acolyte too, because Censor is just that much of a pain in the butt.
Sure.
Showstopper to this deck. One more on the side, and 3 reduced to Ash, just trying to, get that whole thing to be fixed.
Yeah, that's about right.
Also running the Looking Glass as the Divine Relic here, which pairs really well with the Inert Sword, and also running the Consumption Ring, which is a fun inverse play on the Tariff Ring that we've become so familiar with.
Yeah.
Being able to sort of stop those big combo plays.
This is pretty cool, honestly. I really like this as a way to sort of force through the Baleful Oblations, and I think this is the thing that I was missing running into Shadow Strike, is it's like, okay, you have Incapacitate, but with this, now you need to pay 6 for your Incapacitate. Do you have that? No? I didn't think so.
That's a strikingly hard thing to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a pretty cool list. I am both excited and terrified to see how this deck evolves, because when it gets online, it's really scary.
Yeah, it seems really strong, right?
It does. Maybe inconsistent, but I think folks will fix that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to go past a few of these decks because I think we're going to cover them a bit more and when we get to the top cut.
Sure.
But I am going to talk about Josh H. in 10th place running his Prismatic Fire Spectre Merlin.
Yeah, there we go. Spectre Merlin.
You know what's so obnoxious about this deck is that Evercurrent Raider, which is part of the Spectre engine, is a water card, which means it pairs perfectly with Spirit Blade Ascension.
Ooh.
It's filthy. It's filthy. Why did they give this out? I mean, Merlin gets a huge boost now. Merlin's actually playable. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So I can't be too mad about that, but I can be terrified, and that's what I'll choose to be.
Yeah, I mean, this just again goes back to this Ryle package is very strong.
Yeah,
you cannot ignore it. You either need to build with it or you need to build against it, but you cannot ignore it.
It's true. So Merlin still has a bit of variance. I think with this, really the engine just sort of served to make her a little bit faster, but there's still a little bit of room for variety here. This one's on Fragmented Fire. Notably that Spirit Shard is really good with Merlin because she can eat the float and then immediately crack it because she's level 3. And there's not a lot of Fantasia hate going on right now because fractals are kind of the flavor of last month, and I think there's a lot less Fantasia hate. There's also just a lot less wind in general.
Yeah.
So I feel like the natural predator of this strategy kind of isn't around. So, but beyond that, it's all good Merlin stuff.
Yeah.
You love that stuff. In 9th place, KMO, Fire Suited Lorraine. I love the suited stuff.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the suited.
Yeah,
right? So what are the core pieces of this deck? What makes this deck tick?
So, I mean, really, the stars of the show are the allies, of course. The allies and a sort of thin strand of other support cards which sort of serve as the glue for the deck. So, all of these cards sort of have unique reserve costs. They have 1 through 5, both in Fire and in Norm. There's also a 6 in Fire, the Duchess, the 6 of Hearts. They all have a unique ability called Cardistry, which is sort of a one-time ability you can use per card, which basically has a fixed reserve cost but goes down based on the number of suited cards you have out on the field with unique reserve costs. And some of these are very, very powerful. So you look at something like, say, 5 of Spades, which is a 5 cost 1/4 with Floating Memory, which by itself, that's a terrible rate.
Terrible.
It has a cardistry ability, which says you could pay 5 to give it +5 attack until end of turn, which is a terrible rate until you start flooding the board with things. And once you have, like 2 or 3 allies, then suddenly it's not too unreasonable to sort of put down your hand and say, I'm going to heavy swing you for the turn. And if they knock it out and clear it, it's still float that you can use to level up. So that's very, very powerful.
And then you get cheaper cardistry abilities on the cheaper cards.
Exactly.
So if you have a 2 or a 3 out there, pretty soon that ability is free.
Yeah, the real star of the show, I think, is 4 of Hearts. 4 of Hearts really letting you draw a card in your memory for 4 cost, discounted by cardistry, of course. But you also then get to take a 3 cost or less ally from your memory and put it onto the field, which means you're getting that much of a little bit of a tempo boost there.
Seems very powerful.
That combined with 4 of Spades, which is to draw a card in your memory, means like this deck is actually pretty good at refilling its hand. Like you're not necessarily sacrificing your influence. This is also compounded by a card called Ashen Riffle, which lets you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and you get to basically banish 2 of the 4 cards you see as long as they're suited allies, and you can play them whenever you want. So it's kind of like an impulsive draw effect. They're not used to pay for cost, but you can still play them as though you're in your hand. So
like the level 3 Tristan ability.
Yeah, like the level 3 Tristan, sort of the Shadow Reaver. Except they're face up, but still, like they're coming. They're going at you. There's also a lot of like class specific payouts for suited. So we've seen the Assassin variants with Tristan and Xander, and they can take advantage of a little card called Sleight of Hand, which can give a suited ally stealth. Notably, the Assassin bonus is important because it then draws a card into your memory, so you're card neutral whenever you play that, and it's a good protection for your board. Warriors, in this case, have the advantage of a card called Raised Slash, which on attack lets them place a buff counter on 2 of their suited allies.
Very
so
aggressive.
You can establish a board and keep it pretty big. So that's pretty nice.
Very cool.
Also,
and this deck did really well.
This deck did really well. Also worth noting, Warriors and Assassins both have class bonus on Rending Flames, so you can put that in there.
Yeah, might as well.
Do a lot of damage too. This one actually didn't. It relied on Raise Slash and Flame Sweeps. But did pretty well.
So yeah, the only suited deck in the field, and made it to 9th place. That's pretty solid.
I also want to call out, this is a Fire aggro deck that's not playing Arthur, which should tell you something about how much this deck loves those suited allies.
Right, yeah. And this is a deck that is flooding the board, right? This is a deck that is keeping control of the board and smashing your opponent. Mm-hmm. It is definitely on the aggressive side.
Yes.
It's not quite Blazing Throw aggressive, but it is looking to keep control of the board and looking to smash your opponent. And it has some pretty quick lines if you're not prepared for them.
Yeah, so if you sit down across from your opponent at locals, they start playing some X of Hearts, some X of Spades, you should be careful.
Yeah.
But those are
terrifying, Reggie.
So that's everything in day 2 that I thought was below the top cut. But why don't we talk about the top cut itself?
Yeah, let's talk about the top cut.
All right, so in 8th place, we have Legit Jesus Kun.
Sure.
He is him.
I think Legit is a clan tag, because I saw 2 of them with Legit in their names.
Okay. That would explain some things. Doesn't make him any less legit.
This is my suspicion. I don't know for sure.
Listen, it doesn't make him any less legit.
Sure.
But he was piloting Wind Shadow Strike Tristan, our one Tristan in the top cut.
Mm-hmm.
This is... I wouldn't say it's a bog standard Tristan. It's not running Shadow Reaver, because I think Shadow Reaver doesn't quite get great value in this format as it stands. But it is running a lot of the classics. The Censor is a great slot in here. Mm-hmm. You get really no downside from it. It's running 2 Crystallized Destinies because some of these hits are huge. But beyond that, it's a lot of the classic Tristan stuff. 2 Zephyrs. Some Cleansings in the board. Mandate of Honor in the board.
I feel like the Zephyrs are a nod towards the Dianas out in the field.
I think so. I could see that, yeah.
I'm just trying to be ready to deal with some weapons.
Yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes they spell shroud you.
Sometimes.
But, you do your best.
Mm-hmm.
But he got very far with this deck.
Very cool.
I think he planned accordingly.
Yeah, I think Shadow Strike is just one of those all-rounder decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the better you are, the better it'll do.
Yeah.
And also is just generally okay into everything.
The spicy tech in here. 2 Beseech the Winds.
Nice.
So he can go fast if he needs to. Or he can get that Censor out really fast.
And sometimes you need to.
I think you need to here. Definitely. So shout outs to Legit Jesus Kun. You are, in fact, legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in 7th place, we have Xeon on Fire Aggro Lorraine, running the Looking Glass, along with Sword of Shadows and Inert Sword, which turns on the 3 copies of Cheshire Cat here, which is pretty powerful if you get that all online, because she's going to be swinging for a lot of damage once you get those swords out. We have Dazzling Courtesan as a way to pay off using the cards in your graveyard, in addition to Rending Flames, Fire Momentum, all the good stuff. Intensified Pyre is making a showing here as another Kindle payoff, which does 2 damage to a champion unless that champion has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, in which case they take 6, which is a whole lot.
6 is a lot.
And it's running 4 copies of March Hare, because with all these Kindle payoffs, you are bound to banish this guy a few times.
Yeah, you might as well have something worth kindling.
Right, you might as well kindle and get some value out of it. And it seems like this was very effective. This is a very nasty, very powerful aggro deck that just sort of lets you recycle a lot of your cards for good value, which is really nice. In 6th place, we have What Do You Min? Worth noting, What Do You Min has the same sort of similar deck list to Jayare at 1st place. Spoilers, but we'll talk about his deck when we talk about the 1st place deck.
Yeah. So
we're just going to skip right past that for now. In 5th place, we have Kit Kat on Fire Aggro Lorraine, notably with a Spectre package. And not just Liminal Guides, not just what you'd expect. Instead, he's also running 3 Incinerated Templars and 3 Vengeful Paramours, which, notably, Incinerated Templar can pull Spectres out of the yard and make them ephemeral. Vengeful Paramour, once it comes in as an ephemeral, gets to deal 2 damage to a unit. to a champion.
Yeah, this is taking a lot of advantage of the cards that come back on their own, rather than stuff like Undying Dreams or Evercurrent Raider for the level 3 decks who are just trying to take advantage of the floating memory.
Yeah, so you're not necessarily making your allies sort of buff, you're just sort of trying to go wide and sort of flood the board and sort of take them out.
Exactly.
Which kind of makes sense with the 4 March Hares and the Dazzling Courtesans also really pair really well into this, sort of making you just get this really nasty wide board. Just
yeah, it's solid aggressive strategy.
Yeah, really, really nice. Also got the Rending Flames, the heated damage for the spike, a couple Home by Fires and Blazing Throws, sort of all the good fire aggro stuff. In the board, you see Fiery Interference, which is a really important tech card because there are quite a few Serene decks running around in tandem with the Spectre package. So Fire Interference basically notably lets you deal 2 damage to a target unit, and if that unit is a champion, it can't recover until the end of the turn.
Yeah, quite a beater.
Really, really good and really nice for shutting off that little extra life package, that little life barrier there, which is really quite nice. Very
I think this is somebody who kind of saw some of these Serene decks coming and was ready to tech against them, and I love to see that.
They took their aggro up to the next level, and they also said, hey, you are not getting out of reach.
It's a good meta call.
Very good meta call. In 4th place, I see what you were saying now. Legit Bit on Fire on Soul, Lorraine, with a Spectre package.
Yep. So this is the typical 16 Spectre package.
Yep.
4 of each on Ryle, Liminal Guide, Undying Dreams, and Evercurrent Raider.
Yep, and then it's got quite a few swords. The Unsoul package has sort of changed a bit. You're running still a huge critical mass of swords, but the number of swords has kind of changed. With the addition of Votive Runeblade, which is a very, very powerful addition to this type of deck. It kind of means you need to change your deck up because you want to be doing multiple attacks with your champion during your Onslaught turn, which means you are leaning less on 1 durability swords. You kind of need a mixture of 1 durability and more than 1 durability. It's also running Spellword Scepter because notably if you get your Onslaught negated for any reason, it sucks. So why not make it so they can't negate it?
Sure.
Very good.
It also means that with a Votive Runeblade, this deck plays really, really well by going level 2 into Dungeon Guide.
Yep.
And the Ryle package means that you have the influence to do that.
Yeah, you can just sort of let it rip, and it's very, very powerful. So this thing is coming at you even faster than you before. 4 Fluffy Shopkeeps too, because notably, Onslaught doesn't care if their Regalia is in the Banish. It just brings it back, which is pretty good. So this is a deck that you should definitely be ready for because I think it is here to stay for a bit longer.
I think so. I think Onslaught is going to be around for a while.
Yeah, certainly. But congrats to Legit Bit. Very nice performance. In 3rd place, we have Eidos on Fire Guoja.
So this is different from the 1st place list.
Yes.
In that it doesn't include that Spectre package.
It does not.
So this is a sort of more traditional aggro, taking advantage of a lot of the new fire spells.
Yeah.
And otherwise doing sort of the standard aggro stuff, going low on influence and beating them down.
I think the extra cheeky thing there is that we have an Ether Wing in this material deck.
We have Triveria Dream, which is a 1/3.
Yes. You can load up the Infernal Mana Streak, which can ping a target unit for 2 or 3 if you're distant. I don't think you're going distant on this. Oh, wait, no, you are going distant because you have Flickering Cinder.
Flickering Cinder.
1 cost, deal 1 damage, and go distant.
So this is another spell that is cheap and gives you a quest counter for Suzaku. This is there's been a lot of really good rate damage spells coming out of DTR.
Yeah, very good. 4 Sadies in the main, coupled with 2 Thieving Cuts. So you have the extra prep for that, and also for planted explosives.
Is he running the Assassin's Armor?
He's running Assassin's Mantle.
Yeah, that extra source of prep counters.
We never thought we'd see Assassin's Mantle in a competitive list.
No, I don't think I'd ever expect to see Assassin's Mantle in a competitive list.
Eidos really values that extra prep counter.
I love it.
Which is really cool. So this is a really, really awesome to see. Just to see this brand of fire aggro come in and just sort of take things down. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Love it. In 2nd place, we have Sherlock on Fire Luxem Xander.
Yep. So we did have 3 Luxem Xanders on day 2. This is the only one that made the top 8.
Yeah.
But 2nd place is a solid finish.
It's a great way to finish.
And this is a pretty standard Luxem Xander deck with some engine pieces swapped out.
I think we got 12 Spectres.
This deck is not running the Evercurrent Raiders.
It is not.
So we just have the traditional 12 Spectre package.
Yeah.
And I think this deck is also very close to card for card with Seba and Atomic, who were the other 2 Xander players in the day 2.
I mean, I think the engine in general benefits a lot from having the Spectre cards in there. I mean, you're down to like 1 Turbocharge and 1 Thieving Cut just to fit all this in. Juggle Knives also still in there. It's just a great way to cycle and deal a little extra value. And then you got all the good Luxem cards. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I think the big change with this Luxem Xander versus maybe previous Luxem Xanders is Illuminating Charge. Sorry, not Illuminating Charge, Striking Illuminance.
Yes.
Which is pretty standard for the HVN.
Striking Illuminance is definitely the new hotness, and it's been doing quite a bit of work in sort of locking in some more kill lines for this deck, which I think honestly, like, I'm not gonna say it needed it, but it definitely benefits a lot from it.
Yeah,
so.
it gives it some more punch, which I definitely feel it.
This is always a deck that I always really like the concept of, but whenever I go to play it, I'm just like it's really hard for some reason.
Sure.
It's tough.
I see it.
Maybe I'll try it with this engine, see what happens, see if it changes. We'll see. But there can be only one, and the winner of this tournament was Jayare on Fire Spectre Guoja.
Yeah, so this is the Suzaku aggro deck, and it's also using the Ryle engine with Vengeful Paramours as an additional aggressive tool here.
Yes, and it is also running the Liminal Guides and the Undying Dreams. So,
so Undying Dream hits Liminal Guide and hits Vengeful Paramour for that extra buff counter, and is really, really strong if you don't end up discarding it for the floating memory.
Vengeful Paramour, notable because it adds quest counters to your Fate Stone.
Yep.
So
it shoots as a spell.
Yeah. Jayare also definitely did some tech for the other Ryle decks because he's running 4 copies of Embercrypt Burn, which lets you banish a target card from a graveyard and then deal 2 damage to each champion. Also a great way to generate quest counters.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I think this card especially is going to be important in the upcoming meta.
Yep.
With all of the only fight fire with fire, and this is the fire you need to bring to that fight.
Indeed. Just a lot of really strong cards here. I'm going to cover the best one for last, but 3 of Hearts is in here as a 4 of.
Wow.
3 of Hearts is a 2/3 for 3 with upside. You could just cycle a card into the yard once per 3 of Hearts. It's just wild. It's crazy
2/3
good.
for 3 with upside is not a card you hear very often.
You should always keep an eye out for those. Man,
maybe just always run them.
2 Shatter the Brittle, Shatter the Brittle I think is one of the best cards Fire has to deal with Regalia, at least the most flexible one, because it hits 1 cost or more at fast speed.
It's true.
You do give your opponent a card, but I think it's probably worth it most of the time. But the big one, which has honestly earned this deck its nickname, Kentucky Fried Suzaku. 4 copies of Peppered Chef.
Yep. I do remember previous Suzaku decks looking for ways to sacrifice their Suzaku in order to bring it back and hit again. And
now you can.
Now you can, and get an extra 4 damage out of the bargain.
And a nice lunch. Right? It's pretty good. Pretty good. So this deck looks like it hits hard, hits fast, and doesn't care what you try to do to save yourself. It will not let it happen.
Seems very cool.
It is prepared, though, if the opponent also tries to go in on you, because it's running 3 copies of Restorative Flame, which is a great card.
Yeah.
It's a good card if you just need a little bit of life to keep
alive. It's wild to me that a deck this focused has room for Restorative Flame.
Yeah.
But that's super cool.
Honestly, the board is also very, very exciting. We've got Blazing Bowman, which is really good against if you're trying to deal with any like 4 health interceptors.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Flame Wreath Call is a good multi-hit board clearer. This is a very underrated card, I feel like we don't see this. I feel like I haven't seen it very often. Maybe I just need to pay more attention to Suzaku decks, but I think this card is really good. Nullifying Mirror for Windex. Portentous Tengu if you need a little bit more card draw. Another Shatter the Brittle. And 2 Underfire in case you just need to get the heck out of dodge.
I would love to know what matchups the Portentous Tengu came in on.
I would also, because I feel like this is pretty... Oh, probably non-water decks, because they're running Viridian Trade in the main.
Oh, sure.
That's pretty good. Could be wrong, but I'd say that's probably...
That makes sense. Just as a consistent standby to bring in if your niche main deck card doesn't do what it's supposed to.
Yes. The folks over at Creative Shock did do a deck tech on this recently, so if you want to learn more about this deck, come check it out, because this deck is sweet. I think I might have to give it a shot myself. It's very cool. That's the Quicksilver Cup.
Yeah, quite the event. So what do you think our takeaways are for this?
Well, it's very hot in here all of a sudden. It turns out Ryle good.
Yeah, where did all these fire decks come from?
Spectre's good.
Spectre's good.
There's kind of a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really interesting because I've been listening to the Team True podcast a bit because they're on YouTube now. Which, for the record, all of you can check it out on YouTube now. It's free. You don't have to subscribe to Patreon or anything. You can just hear their unfiltered thoughts about stuff. It's nice. But they were also pointing out something interesting, which is originally when the aggro decks started showing up, I think in DTR, a lot of them were packing Censor in order to counter the Ryle decks and sort of prevent them. And I think we see Wind decks doing that too, right? But now you're sort of seeing this trend where like we have more aggressive decks also running the Spectre package, which means I don't know how likely they are to be running the same hate cards. Like, are they going to run censors to which might also shut their package down?
Right.
At which point, like, that means the field might open up a bit more to some of these decks which were previously kind of collateral damage as a result of people slotting censor into their decks. So, like, perhaps the water decks relying on floating memory, cough, cough, Diana, cough, cough, might have a chance to go in there and get a little bit more wins. We'll have to see, honestly. I think there's a lot that could change in the next 2 weeks leading up to Boston.
Yeah.
And I would be really interested to see what the numbers look like when that event hits.
Yeah, I would say the naive reading of this format, kind of the level 1 takeaway from the Quicksilver Cup, is this Suzaku aggro deck, really, really good.
Yeah.
Effective at coming in under the bigger Ryle decks.
Yeah.
And still has kind of a lot of punch on its own. But if you are looking for a level 3 deck, and Soul or Luxem both seem very strong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, regardless of what things look like, I think right now, like, regardless of what things could be, I'd say the Spectre package is very strong.
Yeah.
Consider investing in the Spectre package, unless you are so terrified of it that you're expecting a ban, which I'm not gonna.
No,
I'm
not before Boston.
Not before
no
Boston.
Way.
I'm not gonna. I didn't. I don't want to predict that sort of thing.
I would actually expect Ryle to hit Cat 1
Yes.
before too long.
I would expect a Category 1 for Ryle, but I still think it is within the realm of this could be playable, but also counterable or run over by something else.
And the thing that gets me for it is it's not that it's enabling a specific deck.
Yeah.
There is not one deck that is benefiting more than others because of this card. Yeah. It's just all of the fire decks are doing really well.
Yeah, it feels like it's in the same realm as Creative Shock. Obviously, it has a much higher ceiling than Creative Shock, but it does sort of feel like it fulfills the similar role. And I don't necessarily think that, like, it being removed is necessarily the direction that they will go with.
Yeah, what I would like to see is some sort of similarly powerful and linear engine in wind and water. I want to see decks get better rather than decks nerfed back to being worse.
Yeah. Of course, we don't want the format to go too fast. Otherwise, we can't fully enjoy our toys. But I'm sure we can strike a balance.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think after a while, it is refreshing to see more fire back in the environment after being sort of overwhelmed by more water. But I am really curious to see if balance will be restored in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'd say on a personal level, if I were going to Boston, I would be looking at running Luxem Xander.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I think that's pretty cool. I think the things that you want to keep in mind are, we know a couple of decks that are doing well, so I think you want to be in a position to either play those decks or beat those decks. So that's what you should be thinking about when you're prepping. Yeah,
coming from that perspective, I feel like I would be really looking at my aggressive options. I think that's a really good option to swing. If you think that Ryle value engines are going to be really, really potent, I would say trying to get under them and going really fast is definitely a good way to deal with that. So that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing you can consider if you're not really feeling the Ryle package or you can't quite get your hands on it. Consider something that can go fast and take them by surprise.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's going to conclude our chat about tournaments in DTR. Very excited to see what happens in the future. That's going to bring us to the end phase, which I believe, Jim, you packed something special.
Yeah. So I'm still riding high on our previous episode where we talked about draft. I really enjoyed talking about draft, and I want to keep talking about draft.
Yeah.
So for this particular end phase, I've decided that what we're going to do is we're going to open a Mortal Ambition pack with you, sort of live, as it were, and talk about how we would go about drafting this pack if this were the pack that we were opening while sitting down at the draft.
Honestly, I'm excited. It's always interesting to sort of look at these cards, sort of think about their value in real time, and then think about, like, okay, if this were me, what would I be doing? Right.
So I'm going to open up a pack. We're going to go card by card, and we'll let you know what we see.
All right. It would be really funny if we opened a CSR in this pack, though.
Right? We're making all these decisions about, is this card good? Is that card good?
Card good? And it's like, I'm going to take the $500 bill.
Yeah, I think so.
That seems fine.
All right. So, first card out is Emergent Dagger.
Yeah, okay.
Emergent Dagger is a 1-cost Regalia. It is the level 2 Assassin Regalia. So, it is a 1/2 weapon, and if you are level 2 and class bonus Assassin, it becomes a 3/2. It gets +2 power.
That's a lot of attack damage on a dagger.
This is a lot of attack damage on a dagger. Yeah. If I had an Assassin, this would make me want to be Assassin.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about, though, is this is common.
Yeah.
And over the course of 3 packs, if you end up being an assassin deck, there's more than likely to be another one, maybe even another 2 of these going around. And people don't tend to hate draft. So if you are an assassin, you'll probably be able to take one of these at some point during the draft. But just as the first card out of the pack, it definitely would pull me in that direction if I had access to Assassin on my Nameless Champions.
Yeah, I think looking at this, I do know that Slice and Dice is in this set at uncommon, so if I were to sort of see 1 or 2 of those going around that I could pick up, then maybe I would value the Assassin Dagger a little bit more as it came around. So something to look out for.
Next, we have Seasoned Archer. Seasoned Archer is a 2 reserve ally ranger human with class bonus ranged 3, and it's a 1/3.
3 is a lot. 1/3 I feel is a pretty decent stat line for a 2-cost ally. You know?
Yeah, 1/3 is not bad. Do not underestimate the power of 3 health.
Yeah, 3 health is really good.
This is an okay ally, but it's kind of just okay.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't a powerhouse. This is not what I'd want to be taking as my first pick.
Absolutely not. I think, this is something where, like, you kind of wait and see what's open. If you can get some decent distant enablers, then maybe this is a little bit better. But still, it's kind of
yeah.
It's like filler.
I haven't really been looking too hard for the distant enablers in this set, but I have a feeling that they're kind of thin on the ground.
They're a little thin. There are some of them that are surprisingly explosive. I think Scorching Strafe is the one in fire, which actually, like, it's a lot of people don't rate it very highly, but like it does a lot of damage. So, but you kind of have to take critical mass with aggressive cards for that to really work. That's the tricky thing.
Makes a lot of sense. And this is on class bonus, so you would have to be a ranger in order to take advantage of that range.
For this to even be on the table, you need to be ranger.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a vanilla 2 reserve 1/3, which, like, you can find better.
It's okay. Yeah.
Next we have, all right, well, sorry, Emergent Dagger, you're not going to be my first pick. Next we have Cavalier Rescue.
Yeah, this card's very good.
So Cavalier Rescue, we talked about it during the previous episode, and it's still good. It is a 3 reserve action skill. It's fast. It has an equestrian bonus, which is as long as you control a horse ally, this card costs 2 less to activate.
I mean, that's great.
So it can cost 1.
Cost 1.
And it gives an ally +3 health until end of turn, +3 life until end of turn. And if that ally is defending, it wakes it up.
Yeah. This card is nuts.
So not only does it defend anything, you can also use it to crack back.
Yeah.
So not always will you have the ability to get enough power to kill an attacker. There are still a lot of 3 health attackers.
Yeah.
So, if their 2/3 is coming into your 2/3, this will save your dude, but it won't really let you kill their dude.
Yeah.
But sometimes it really just does the trick.
Yeah. Sometimes you just kill their ally on the next turn.
Yeah, it's also
That's
true.
also good. Right?
But yeah, it is a frequently cheap way to keep your ally alive, and it is so useful.
Yeah, this is definitely the winning pick for me so far.
Yeah, this is the front runner.
Yeah.
Next we have Mnemonic Charm.
I actually like this card.
Yeah, so this is a constructed favorite. 2 reserve item. On enter, draw a card into your memory. And if you have Cleric or Mage class bonus, you can sacrifice it to Empower 2. So the important thing to remember is that the Empower is on Cleric or Mage class bonus.
Yes.
Otherwise, this is just a Juggle Knives.
It's just, it just cycles a card for you, which is not bad, but, I think it's not the best thing you'd be doing.
It's filler.
Yeah.
Right? It's replaceable.
I would probably only pick this if I already had access to some good, like, things that I know I could empower. Nascent Blast,
Sure.
Obviously. But, like, even just, like, a Fireball or, like, a Vengeful Gust or something like that, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, if I am Cleric or Mage and I'm looking at doing Empower things, and this goes a little bit higher in my estimation, but it's not going to pull me in that direction.
Yeah.
And if I'm not Cleric or Mage, then, like, this is something that I'll take, 11th, if at all.
Very, very late, so.
It's the kind of thing that you can just put in your deck, but you should probably put something more effective.
Yeah, I would agree.
Next, we have Fractal of Insight.
I love that website.
Yep. So this is 2 reserve Fractal. It has reservable. And on enter, you may rest Fractal of Insight if you do Glimpse 2.
Yeah, I struggle to value fractals in this set still.
I'm not sure about them. I think they're fine. This one gives you an additional bonus besides just being reservable.
That's true. The Glimpse is not negligible.
Yeah, the Glimpse is something. And if you end up in a water deck, being able to play with Refracting Missile, I think that makes this a lot better.
That's really powerful.
But otherwise, I kind of feel like fractals are also just sort of replacement level.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. To any of you who have drafted at home, how do you feel about fractals? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please let us know. I'm happy to hear if other people have different opinions.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fractal of Insight I think is kind of a filler level card.
Yeah.
Unless I'm in water and able to do fractal things.
Yeah.
In which case, absolutely.
I'd say so. Yeah.
So this is our 5 norm cards.
Yep.
So the next 5 cards we're going to see are still commons,
Yep.
but now they're going to be element aligned. So we're going to be into the fire, water, and wind cards.
Yes.
And first out is Cyclical Breeze.
Oh, yeah.
Cyclical Breeze, a 4 reserve Cleric Mage spell. On class bonus, it gets cheaper, so you can cast it for 2 instead of 4. And it returns target wind element spell from your graveyard to your hand.
This is part of the nastiness that we can see in
Yes.
the set.
So this is a helpful card to have if you're doing the Razor Gale thing.
Yep.
And if you're not doing the Razor Gale thing, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be in that deck already. Otherwise, don't take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't first pick this. I would wait for the Razor Gale to come around and then start looking for these.
Absolutely. Next, we have Flame Rune Swordsman.
Hey.
Yeah.
Solid.
So this dude is actually like, I would consider potentially taking this card even if I don't have the class bonus. So this is a 3 reserve 2/2 ally, and it has class bonus floating memory.
Yeah.
3 reserve 2/2 is fine.
Yeah. It's actually possible.
It's not great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Of course, with the class bonus, it becomes a lot more threatening.
Oh, yeah. It's
So
just straight value.
yeah, the floating memory is always nice to have.
Yeah. Rather like that.
Still not really a forerunner ahead of Cavalier Rescue.
Yeah, I think Cavalier Rescue is still the one that I would pick. Because Cavalier Rescue will work well with just about anything. Flame Rune is a little harder to really necessarily be as universal.
Yeah, but this would be a card that if I were Mage or Warrior, I would hope would come back to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And think about that, right? Like, if you are Mage or Warrior, you see these in your opening pack, and then once the pack wheels, once it goes all the way around, if this is still in your pack, that tells you something.
Yep. Yep.
Next, we have Fireball.
Fireball!
This is the classic. 4 reserve, but of course, if you have the Mage class bonus, it costs 2 less to activate, and it deals 1+ level damage to target unit. What you tend to find in draft is that fireballs are pointed at allies more than it's pointed at faces.
Yeah.
So not a lot of champion damage happening with a fireball, but it is helpful to clear the way. And no matter what champion you are, you can reliably hit level 2, meaning you can deal 3 damage off of this fireball with regularity.
Yeah. You might get some mnemonic charms to make this a little spicier. I wouldn't rely on that, though, honestly. I don't know. I've had a little trouble getting that to work myself.
Yeah, Fireball is one of those cards that, like, without the Mage bonus, I probably won't take it.
Yeah.
And with the Mage bonus, I feel like there's still better cards a lot of the time, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not
possible. Bad. Yeah. There might be some ways that you could get some extra value on it, but I'd say it's fine for the most part.
I'm still looking at that Cavalier Rescue, though.
It's so good. It's really good.
Next, we have Favorable Winds.
You know, I do like Favorable Winds.
Yeah, I really like Favorable Winds,
nice
too.
One.
So Favorable Winds, a 1 reserve action. Allies you control get +1 health until end of turn, and it has floating memory.
Yeah.
This is one of those cards that you can use to enable a turn 2 level up.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that I want to call out for this card specifically. It is the reason I would take this card. Not because I can use it as float, not because I can use it to save my allies, but because specifically if I am going second, I can use it to enable a level up on my turn 2.
Yeah, and then you can potentially start looking for those higher level payouts.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Absolutely.
So, something to think about. I don't know if I would value this over Cavalier Rescue, though.
I wouldn't, yeah. I think Cavalier Rescue is just a more impactful card.
Yeah, yeah. But this has a use, so consider it.
Next, we have Swift Recruit.
Oh, I love Swift Recruit.
Also the old favorite.
I love Swift Recruit.
So this is a 2 reserve, 1/2 ally with Intercept and Floating Memory.
This is a very relevant card. It's a good way to protect yourself. It's also very, very important if you're doing Razor Gale things. Because this is probably one of your few defensive options.
This is another one that I would be happy to take early.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Cavalier Rescue weren't in this pack, I would think heavily about Swift Recruit being my first pick.
I'd say that's probably my number 2 pick right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's about right.
Pretty good card.
Yeah.
And then our last common in the pack is Rising Tides.
Oh, yeah. I do like Rising Tides. You need some work to make it happen.
Yeah, so this is a 2 reserve fast action with Floating Memory. And it has class bonus level 3, draw a card into your memory. And that is on Mage.
Yep.
So without Empower, this does actual nothing.
Yep.
If you have a lot of sources of Empower, then it's both float and card draw.
Yeah.
Which is a nice place to be. But it takes a lot of work to get there.
I would probably want to make sure I have a Tome of Sorcery or at least a couple Mnemonic Charms before I actually consider picking this up. But this is a great way to plus yourself.
That's true. I mean, it sure does the thing. This is another one of those cards that I would think of as filler.
Yeah.
Also, it's water,
Yeah.
Which is like, if I'm mage, I probably want to be fire.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of hard. I mean, I'm not sure if there's a really good water mage payout that I would really want to. Cone of Frost, yeah. Cone of Frost might do it, yeah. Yeah. I'd have to see those first then.
Yeah. Right? Like, this is not the kind of thing that's going to pull me into water if I'm mage. Mm-hmm. It's not the kind of thing that's going to be pulling me into mage if I have other things pulling me in other directions.
Yep.
But if I am already water mage and I have Empower, this is a lot that needs to go right.
A lot needs to go right here.
Then Rising Tides is okay.
Yeah. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
So now we're into the uncommons. Our first uncommon is Scorchfire Assassin.
Oh, wait, I like this guy.
So this is a 3 reserve 1/3, and it has Assassin class bonus. On attack, you may remove up to 3 preparation counters from your champion. For each counter removed this way, the attack gets +2 power.
So this is a very potentially spiky card in terms of the amount of damage it does. Do you keep in mind prep counter generation in draft is kind of limited?
It is.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the time, this card is a vanilla 1/3.
Yeah, for 3, which is not great. So
there's also like Inner Court Schemer that exists.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure.
Like, you might swing for 3 once or twice with this, and that might be okay to clear an ally. Maybe that's enough, but I feel it's still kind of, you still need to get another card to make that work.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel worthwhile.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons not to take this, and very few reasons to take it.
I think so. You need a crazy prep engine before you can actually even think about playing this.
Next, we have Tidal Lock.
Tidal Lock.
So it's interesting because I don't see many people play with negates in draft.
No, I feel like in general negates are kind of harder to use in a limited format.
Anyway, Tidal Lock is a 3 reserve cleric spell reaction. As long as you have 3 or more water element cards in your graveyard, this card costs 2 less to cast to activate. And that's not on class bonus, so that just happens. And it negates target card activation unless its controller pays 2, and then banishes the card if they negate it that way.
I don't know.
I think this could actually do a lot of damage.
It could,
but it's so hard to just sit there with this in your hand and be like, yeah, I'll pass the turn. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to already be in a position where you have the board in order to keep this back. So you have to kind of be ahead in order to really get value from this.
Yeah, and I feel like with the way that you were probably like picking cards in this set, which like your deck could have a huge distribution of norm, and just how easy to get to that reduced cost threshold where it's really good.
Really unlikely.
Holding 4 cards up in draft, I'm like, 4
is kind of a lot. It's difficult to get there and still be moving your game plan forward.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Seems a little tough.
Next is Fiery Swing.
Okay, I love this card.
So this is a 6 reserve Guardian attack with 6 damage on it. And it's got class bonus on attack. You may banish up to 6 fire element cards from your graveyard. For each card banished this way, Fiery Swing gets +1 damage.
That's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage. I think swinging for 6 is probably worth it.
Yeah.
I haven't played with this card in draft before.
I haven't done it in draft. I've done it a little bit in constructed. It is fun.
I bet.
You could probably pump this a little bit.
Yeah, I think that if you're playing this late game, this might be something that you can use to close the game out. Hit for 9 or 10, depending on how much fire is in your deck. Because you do have to keep in mind that your deck is not going to be all fire.
Yeah, if you slap this down turn 1 and just hit them for 6, I think that's not the worst.
It's not great, but it's not the worst.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Is a Cavalier Rescue fine?
Yeah, this is not something that I would be looking to take early.
Yeah,
this is something that it's like, okay, well, I can play it, so maybe I will. But it's not something that's going to pull me into fire.
Yeah. I mean, this might beat something that they try to Cavalier Rescue, but you're not playing this in response to a Cavalier Rescue. That's like...
Anyway, yeah. I think both of us are still on Cavalier Rescue.
I think we love Cavalier Rescue.
And our rare for the pack is Oppressive Presence.
Oh.
So this is a 2 reserve warrior action. Activate this card only during an opponent's recollection phase. Until end of turn, players can't declare attacks with allies unless they pay X for each attack, where X is the highest power among fire element allies you control. I think this is unplayable.
I love the flavor behind this card. There's no way you are playing it in draft.
This is just never happening.
What's the most powerful thing you're going to have might be 2 power, probably. Like, okay, there might be some magical Christmas Land where you get like a big ally out and you ally like it with something huge, but
Yeah,
That's
even if
too
I
many
have Lava
things.
Soul Tiger, I am never I am never playing this card to tear off my opponent.
Just play another Lava Soul Tiger. That's fine.
Like, I appreciate Tariff when it comes out of the material deck,
Yep.
and I don't need to spend my cards on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot envision the scenario in which I want to Tariff my opponent instead of playing an additional unit.
Yeah, I would agree. So I think it's Cavalier Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep.
Pick commons.
Yep. Sometimes the commons are what you need. Eat your veggies, kids.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man. Well, this was cool.
Yeah.
This was fun. I would definitely not mind doing this again. To all you at home, let us know what you think. If you'd like to see us try to do this again.
Yep.
Might be a little fun exercise for y'all thinking about getting a draft.
Post in the comments what you would be taking from this pack.
Yeah. Would love to hear your guys' reasoning as well. But with that, I believe we do need to get to a close here.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's coming up.
It's true.
Pretty soon. We are definitely going to be watching that and talking about it. In the meantime, I guess we'll be on the road to store champs and regionals soon in our area.
Got a lot of work to put in.
I'm going to be judging this regionals.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think I might be playing in regionals for the
Oh
first
my
time.
goodness, that's exciting. I'll try not to do you dirty with the judge calls.
Appreciate it.
So to all of you at home, good luck out there with your respective store champs or regionals. And if you're going to Boston, good luck. Let us know what you're cooking, but not too early. Let us know maybe after the fact what you cooked.
Yeah.
And let us know how it went. We don't want you all leaking the tech on our behalf. So, in the meantime, thank you all for listening to the Corhazi Outlook. And tune in to our next episode where, of course, we'll be talking about Boston.
Naturally.
But until then, take care.
Take care.